Stars. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. You are checking out the RCWR Show. Lee Sanders here for this Saturday night, now early Sunday morning of November 19th, 2023, as we are just a few days away from Thanksgiving. How y'all doing? I hope you guys been great. I have not been on the air with you guys in a little bit over a week. As many of you guys know, in college work, sometimes the assignments, the workload, it can be a lot, but I did have enough time, a little bit of free time today in between studying and everything and getting ready for exams, to check out what was going down with tonight's AEW Full Gear pay-per-view event. What did you think about tonight's event? Sound off. Love to hear from you. Let your voice be heard a number of ways, definitely by posting your comments, however you're checking this out right now, be it on YouTube or you're checking it out on Facebook or via X, formerly known as Twitter. Also got a poll up as well, X, formerly known as Twitter, at the RCWR Show. Also on YouTube, click on the communities tab and you'll see the poll that way. I literally just posted it a few seconds ago, so I'm not gonna even bother looking right now to see. I think much later on into the show we'll go over the results, but I definitely want to hear from you guys. So look, tonight, definitely, if you're an AEW fan, you know that one of the most intriguing arcs that was going on in AEW is this devil that's been popping up. It's basically been teasing MJF right down to the point that whoever has been befriending MJF, they've made an example out of them. So we had all this buzz, we had this anticipation, right? We had this great buildup, and we're getting ourselves so psyched up in the heads that many of us went into this pay-per-view event under the impression that maybe, just maybe, the devil was going to be revealed on tonight's pay-per-view. Was the devil revealed, or are we still going about with some teasing? One could make the argument that the devil has been revealed per se on AEW programming the past couple of weeks, but you could make an argument that maybe with tonight's pay-per-view event, maybe we actually did see the devil. It just wasn't announced. Or maybe it's just a case right now where we won't know who the devil is officially until AEW gets ready to do their last pay-per-view event of the year, which is going to be World's End. And based on how everything had went down, I got to tell you, shout out to everybody who I was hanging out with in the Discord. Many of us were expecting for the devil to be revealed tonight. And when I think back on it in retrospect, there was no guarantee whatsoever that the devil was going to be revealed. The only guarantee that we had going into tonight's pay-per-view was that there was going to be a blockbuster name that was going to be signing their AEW contract in the middle of the ring at tonight's Full Gear event. And that definitely was delivered, okay? So, and look, let's address that right now. I know we're kind of bouncing a little bit all over the place, and that's okay. You know, nobody said we had to go in particular order when it comes to these pay-per-view shows and everything, but Will Osprey being the big reveal. Many people were under the impression that maybe it was going to be Ronda Rousey. Totally can understand that, especially after Rampage had went off the air. AEW had went right into taping their ROH show for the website, and here we see Ronda Rousey making her ROH debut, and so that had social media in a buzz, and a lot of them were under the impression that, okay, maybe it's going to be Ronda Rousey that's going to appear on this Full Gear pay-per-view, and she's going to be the one to sign her contract. I saw Mercedes Monday's name being thrown out there. I thought that was a nice little nod, but I wasn't really going in that direction. The man formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, what a great grab that would be. But as many of you guys have pointed out, that was pretty on point as far as, hey, wait a minute, as far as 90-day clauses go and all that other stuff. A lot of you guys are saying, wait a minute. No. Pump the brakes there. Can't be Dolph Ziggler because he still has a 90-day no-compete clause. He's not going to be free until a little bit after Christmas. So that essentially had eliminated him and everything. So I saw some interesting names that was floating around, but the one name that I personally found myself circling back to the most was Will Osprey, especially when you saw some of the wrestling headlines that came about this week that said WWE had been very, very interested in acquiring the services of Will Osprey, and they've been watching him for quite some time. And you know, look, when it's all said and done, I know that there is a mixed community out there. It's not a 50-50 split, but there are some mixed reactions to Will Osprey. Believe it or not, folks that follow your wrestling and everything, you've got some people that's looking at what's going on with Will Osprey signing with AEW, and they're saying this is a really great deal because Will Osprey, he's in the right place, especially with AEW continuing to go back to Wembley and everything. Seems like they've got that locked in and everything. Okay, it's a great fit. And then just as far as marketing goes, the great matchups, the freedom, essentially, he'll be fine there. But you had some that was picturing the ideal of Will Osprey involved with the WWE, and they're looking at that going, you know what? You do this just right, this actually would be pretty damn good. You know, I gotta say, in all honesty, Will Osprey in WWE, that's a tricky one for me personally. Because Will Osprey is one of those guys, I know what the man is capable of in the ring. I remember how I was a late bloomer coming on board Will Osprey, but when I did, I definitely continued to sing the man's praises. Whoever you get that man in the ring with, he can work with the best of them. He can make anybody look good. There is no doubt about that whatsoever, but I just don't trust the WWE system for a guy like Will Osprey right now, because there is just this weird stigma. I'll keep it real with you guys. There's this weird stigma that has come about with UK wrestlers in WWE in recent years, whether you want to look at the past 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, right? There's just this weird stigma that is going on. We have seen so many folks from the UK that they use for comedic relief and all this other. I haven't seen anybody, I got to be totally candid with you guys, just going back, thinking about guys that were portraying some type of a UK character or whatever. I haven't seen anybody on the level of a holy crap, not since William Regal. I mean, if y'all want to throw a couple of other names out there at me as far as more recent memory, go ahead, and I'll be honest with you guys. Look, not for nothing, but I don't know what country Dragunov is from, but he's definitely doing his respective thing. I know Gunther is not from the UK, but I like what's going on there. But there's just something about UK wrestlers in WWE as far as putting that main spotlight on them. I'm saying as far as the success rate goes in the later years. it's pretty much been a lot of misses there. I hate to say that. So I don't exactly trust the WWE system right now for a guy like Will Osprey. And then to hear these ideas floating around out there that supposedly WWE is interested in Okada. I love the Rainmaker Okada. If they could get Okada, that would be a great grab. It really, really would. But Okada is one of those type of deals where I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, I see that you guys are just now turning up the heat on my man Shinsuke Nakamura, and that is fantastic. That is fantastic. I see what you're trying to do with Kairi Sane. She just made her return. You got Asuka mixing it up, all of those girls mixing it up with Damage Control and everything. We'll see how that plans out and everything. But when it comes to my people from the Far East, they my brothers and sisters as far as I'm concerned as well, right? We all part of the same family. I'm just kind of, in the previous years, they're rebounding better this year alone, but okay, let's see how this pans out 6 months from now. Let's see how this pans out a year from now. I'm just a little bit leery. So is it overcrowded as it is right now in AEW? Yeah, it is. But you know what? Tony Khan and crew, they've got all the time in the world to prepare for Will Ospreay on a full-time basis. Because even though Will Ospreay was in the house tonight and he signed his AEW contract, he unfortunately has to go fulfill some remaining obligations. I believe it is to New Japan Pro Wrestling. But once he fulfills those obligations, signed, sealed, delivered, he is in AEW full-time. So we get to look forward to that. I got to tell you, I was really under the impression that whoever the devil was, that if they were to be revealed, I kind of pictured it would be whoever signed the contract. I didn't feel as though we were going to see the person sign the contract, and on top of that, it's revealed to be the devil. I was under the impression it was going to be a case where the devil would be revealed, and as we would go off the air, the question would be asked, is this the big signee? Is this the signee that Tony Khan had been alluding to these past couple of weeks? And then that would create even more buzz for checking out the press conference afterwards to see what Tony Khan and crew had to say and everything, to get that, okay, definitively what's going on here. But that's not the way it had played itself out. Now, I did check out 0 Hour. Hang on. Oh, sorry about that. A little technical glitch there. I was trying to pull up the chat, and I accidentally hang on here. Let me see if I can kind of blow this up a little bit. I'm trying to get the chat room. I can see the comments, but I don't have a scroll option in here, so I'm trying to see if I can somehow hook myself up. And as I'm playing around with that, I did check out 0 Hour. Checked all of that out. I thought Stokely Hathaway did a fantastic job on 0 Hour. My solid advice to Tony Khan and crew, definitely incorporate that man more into your pre-shows. Heck, if he's even interested in doing a little bit of commentary as well, see where you can fit that guy. I definitely think he would do quite well. And I'm not just saying that. I really liked his overall presence, aura, gelled very well with Renee Paquette. I'm trying to think, was it RJ City that was there as well? That was the right balance. My whole point. That was the right balance. Let's get to some of these 0 Hour matches, blaze through these bad boys real quick for you guys. A couple of matches that they did. First up, we had the ROH World Championship title. Yes, this was actually on 0 Hour for free. Eddie Kingston successfully defending against Jay Lethal. And this is despite the fact that there was a lot of shenanigans going on in the final moments of this matchup and everything. I'll be totally honest with you guys. It was a good match. I'm not crapping on it whatsoever. If there's anything I'm going to be a little bit sour about, is the fact that we've got Eddie Kingston, who is just continuing to somehow in storyline defy the odds in retaining his championship. Okay, I mean, you're just like, man, there's just no way, no how. And this guy, I mean, he's literally doing this Cinderella type of story right now with the championship and everything. It was a decent opener to kick off 0 Hour, right down to the point. Keeping it real with you guys, I think this match should have been on the actual pay-per-view card. Again, I know we're kind of jumping a little bit back and forth, but we're just going with the flow when it's all said and done, okay? But the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, or whatever they're calling themselves now, Golden Jackets, or whatever the new name is, Omega and Jericho are calling themselves. I don't care. So y'all can spam me the correct name all you. I don't care. That match was just so flat. That match was so flat on so many levels. It's hilarious too, because as I was in the Discord watching this match with everybody else, we all were thinking the same thing. Wow, the EVPs essentially get the spot before the main event match. Like, what the hell, right? It's like, it's not even, I mean, you're thinking about the story arc and you're going, some matches you can just kick back and you can go, yeah, oh yeah. As far as card placement, you go, oh yeah. And then there's some where you just look at it a little bit sideways and you lean back a little bit and you go, wait, time out. And this was one of those matches. No, this match, honestly, even if you were to tell me, Lee, what if we could have made this Young Bucks match and everything open up the pay-per-view, the actual pay-per-view? No, it had no business being on the pay-per-view. Well, Lee, what if we put it on 0 Hour? I'd say, yeah, that's fine. You want to put it on 0 Hour? That's fine. You want to make that be the main event attraction of 0 Hour to get ready for the actual pay-per-view? Sure, I'm okay with that. But yeah, this match compared to the Eddie Kingston, Jay Lethal joint, oh, give me Eddie Kingston and Jay Lethal. Like I said, it was a decent enough of a opener. It kind of sucks that without enough proper build-up, it couldn't get to that point where, okay, you definitely made it to the actual pay-per-view card and everything. But this was some solid material right here. Look, y'all know by now that's seen the work of my man Jay Lethal. He's always going to put in a strong effort, very valid strong effort. Claudio Castagnoli taking on Buddy Matthews. Claudio Castagnoli going over in that one. Yo, two solid men going at each other. Nice, hard hitting, no complaints whatsoever. Another solid opener for your 0 Hour. Post-match, you still got that friction going on between the Blackpool Combat Club and the House of Black as Claudio tried to extend a handshake, but Murphy was not having it whatsoever. All right, so it continues, this little dance that's going on here between these two respected factions. Hey, I'm down with that. ROH World Tag Team Championship match. Yes, this was during 0 Hour. A lot of people had no idea that MJF and Samoa Joe had teamed up. I saw a lot of people that were, what's going on here? How did we get to this point? It pays to watch Rampage. Or hopefully you're at least watching Collision so you can get the recap. But yeah, and as we saw with the ratings, as expected, but we didn't know it was going to be that bad, did we not? We see that SmackDown did like 2 million and something. I think Collision did, I got to double check what Collision did, but I think it was under 300,000. I gotta go back and check that. But that was the Fast Nationals. That was just an early snapshot. We'll know the actual numbers, I think, sometime before Sunday is out, or definitely at the latest Monday evening. We'll know what's going on. But the Fast National numbers, it didn't look good. But Rampage,
it was established that Samoa Joe would be the partner for MJF in defending those ROH tag titles against Austin and Colton Gunn. For those of you that were just like, yeah, what happened? How did we get to this point? Like, I don't understand this and everything, right? So MJF, Samoa Joe retaining, Joe coming in there with the submission. I love the nice little spot that went down with Adam Cole making his return, not at 100% though. Gotta make sure we stress that, not at 100%. The man is still injured, right? Just went under the knife allegedly not that long ago, and he was trying to be out there on crutches for his good friend MJF. I was waiting for Roderick Strong to just come out from out of nowhere. Adam, you're back. Yeah, I was waiting for that, but we didn't get that moment right there. Joe, MJF made a very interesting tag team, I gotta say. They definitely made a very interesting tag team. Gotta give them props for that. That was 0 hours. So remember, stipulation here, if Samoa Joe helped MJF, brought him back up, and here's the thing, that clearly was not defined, by the way. That clearly was not defined. Yes, Samoa Joe relinquishes the ROH TV title because he's that confident that the next title he'll hold will be the AEW World title. Okay, great. That's all fine. And then we see over the course of the past several weeks, Samoa Joe has been courting MJF. Hey, man, this problem that you got with Bullet Club Gold, man, don't look too good. But, yo, you had me in your corner, this wouldn't be an issue. That's the way it's been spun. So you're led to the impression that, okay, MJF has a serious problem as far as the numbers game goes. Joe's willing to help. But then when you watched Rampage, you're going, oh, okay, so because Joe is going to partner up with him to defend those ROH tag titles, Joe gets his title shot. I wasn't a fan of how that had played itself out. I think, if anything, the way things should have gone down, it should have been a case where, let me know what you think, but it should have been a case where you get to tonight's pay-per-view, and considering how everything had played itself out, maybe then you have MJF reluctantly go, okay, you know what? I'm going to accept your offer. The hell with it, man. I've got nobody else. Acclaimed is out. Like, okay, tag, you're it, right? I don't know, it's kind of weird how all of that had played out. Actual pay-per-view, a main show card we go to now. Darby Allin, Adam Copeland, Sting with Ric Flair taking on Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, Nick Wayne, and no, for those of you that are curious, as far as Nick Wayne's mom goes, she was not in the house tonight. She was not in the house tonight. By the way, I gotta say this. While I was in the Discord, and many people that has checked out my show over the years, especially the show that I do from time to time with the wifey, many of you guys know that as far as women's wrestling go, I'm a huge supporter and just, the whole 9 yards and everything. And look, when I see somebody that is attractive, I give them their respected props. I'll never say anything vulgar as far as I want to get into those jeans, or I definitely want to slide into that coochie. You'll never hear me say anything like that. I'm a much older man. I'm a man in my 40s, and especially considering the career path I'm trying to embark on and everything, I can't really be talking like that and everything, but when I see somebody that's attractive, I definitely, give them their respective props. I can be a little bit playful or whatever. And I know some of these wrestlers, they'll go on social media and even they will gladly admit that, yes, I've got a nice derriere, right? Or yeah, I know I got the curves. Yeah, I look good. That's why you should go check out my Patreon or check out my OnlyFans and everything. But man, some of the comments that I saw, I'm not putting anybody specific out there, but just some of the names that I saw tonight, of guys that were, I mean, it was just kind of one of those, man, and you thought some of the stuff that I was saying, I mean, compared to what I was reading, I'm going, man, I'm PG-13 the way I'm commenting, good God almighty. But yeah, I mentioned all that because I mentioned Nick Wayne's mom. I know a lot of guys find Nick Wayne's mom to be very attractive. I definitely find her to be very attractive as well. But no Nick Wayne's mom in the house. No surprise right here as far as Darby Allin, Adam Copeland, Sting, or as I like to just call this stable, Sting, right? It wasn't a doubt in my mind that Sting was going to lose this one right here. 15 minutes via pinfall. Fun little match. Expected results, quite honestly. Had some fun little shenanigans that went down as well. Great way to kick off the show. I'm not sure I appreciate Darby Allin getting on the microphone and essentially saying, yo, this is the last you're gonna see Sting here, so give it up to Sting. Woo! You know, I'm not sure how I feel about that. You know, I'm looking at Sting and knowing that Sting is a Christian and everything, he practices the faith and all that. I got to cough real quick. I couldn't help but look at that spot, and I'm just wondering at that point, how's Sting doing? Is he okay with the colorful language there? Because I'm thinking back to Sting's DVD that came out under WWE. And correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I watched it a couple of times. I don't recall Sting cursing on that DVD. I do not recall Sting cursing on that DVD. So, and when you were introduced to his new wife, you know, you're kind of going, okay, all right, we see where he is now in his life, and more power to the man and everything, you know. But I just was wondering if he was cringing on the inside hearing all of that and everything, right? Because remember, AEW Revolution, which is supposed to be going down around February or March of 2024, that's going to be it for the icon Sting. Revolution will be his last appearance for AEW. Last in-ring thing, that's it. He's going to be riding off into the sunset and everything. So, but nice, fun little joint. Sting getting a lot of love out there from California and all that. Good spot. It was actually a really good spot and everything. From there, we get an update from Tony Schiavone as far as MJF. Now, something that had happened at the conclusion of 0 Hour, the Bullet Club gang, they did such a serious number on this guy that it looked as though he possibly wasn't going to be able to defend the AEW World title. So this sets up Tony Schiavone after the match we just talked about, where he called out Jay White, referee Bryce Remsburg, and basically said, hey, look, you know, unfortunately MJF is injured. He's not going to be able to compete tonight. This made the fans extremely vocal as they were pissed off about this. So the title was about to go to Jay White. He was officially about to be crowned the new AEW World Heavyweight Champion when Adam Cole came out limping and saying, there's no way this is going to go down. There's no way I'm going to let this happen to my best friend, MJF. Just spoke with Tony Khan, and he said that I have the green light to go in MJF's place in defending the AEW World Heavyweight title in the main event. So you're hearing that, and automatically you're going, this sounds so freaking stupid, because think about this, right? Because not even the most diehard AEW fan, diehard wrestling fan can justify this. And I would love to see them try to argue this. I really would. You can't defend this. Because wait a minute, dude, you're so hurt. You've been doing all these little videos. Your knee. Oh man, your leg. Oh my god, the leg. Okay, oh, had to get surgery on it. Gonna be out for a good minute. Oh, okay. Oh my god, the leg. It's such a big deal that unfortunately Adam Cole cannot defend the ROH tag titles. Yet he can defend his best friend's World Heavyweight Championship? And what reality does that make freaking sense? And what reality does that make sense? It doesn't. It doesn't. That was just some of the most strangest, weirdest, silliest booking that I had saw play out early on in this pay-per-view, where I'm going, no, you know what makes more sense is for Adam Cole. If you look, this is how I would have cleaned it up. For those of you going, okay, genius, well, how would you have? Quite simple. Quite simple. The way I would have cleaned it up, I would have had Adam Cole say everything that he had said, but then follow it up with Tony Khan. He understands my passion. He understands my dedication to this business and my relationship with MJF. But shut it down, because clearly, I mean, look at me. Just look at me. Ain't I a sight to see? I'm walking on crutches with one leg. Just look at me. Okay. But Tony Khan, you know, hey, look, appreciate you, right? But no, you are still injured. You can't do it. But go find somebody. You're more than welcome to find somebody that you and MJF agree is suitable to fill in place of the champion to try and defend the title in the main event. Now, some of you may say, okay, well, who would you slide in there? Well, you could go with Samoa Joe. It's still one of those scenarios where you could have easily gone with Samoa Joe. I think the way that this should have played out with MJF, quite honestly, MJF should have retained those ROH tag titles by himself in DQ. And the way you could have done it was the Guns ultimately could have just thrown the playbook out of the table, and the commentators could have easily cleaned it up by saying, oh my God, this wasn't even about winning the ROH tag titles for the Guns, aka Golden Club Elite. No, or Bullet Club Gold. That's not what this is about. What this is about is hurting MJF and making sure that he is crippled to the point that when he gets to that main event match, right, you're able to connect the dots. And all the while this is going on, MJF still being reluctant to accept that offer from Samoa Joe. Now that you come to the actual pay-per-view and you've got this situation where, okay, it looks like MJF, he can't defend. Adam Cole was trying to be a good friend, try to see if he could step in, but Tony Khan's like, nah, man, you're still injured. What are you thinking? You want me to have a lawsuit on my hands, right? I'll be liable for that. No, but you guys can see if you can find somebody in the back that'll step in for MJF. And yeah, Samoa Joe, boom, slides in right there so perfectly. So perfectly. Let me know what you guys think about that whole idea. If you have somebody else in mind instead of Samoa Joe, you can definitely go, let me know who would you pitch instead of Samoa Joe. But they just botched that so damn badly. Seriously, they botched that so badly, man. It's a joke the rest of the night. Definitely created a bad shadow over the main event match, because you just kind of had this impression, yeah, kind of know how this is going to play itself out. And it did play itself out very comically the way we thought it would. Intercontinental Championship match. Orange Cassidy defending against Jon Moxley. Orange Cassidy with the retain, 12 minutes by pinfall. Honestly, lived up to my expectations. This is everything that I thought it would be. It played out exactly how I thought it would play out, because not for nothing, but we've seen enough footage of these guys going at it and everything. So, good stuff. Good stuff right here. Love what was kind of going on with the post yakety yak between Trent Beretta, Claudio Castagnoli, post match and everything. Hook, Wheeler Yuta. I kind of like what's happening here as far as these teases, especially with the eventual Hook and Wheeler Yuta tease of a match up there. Totally down with that. AEW Women's World Championship match. Shida defending against Timeless Toni Storm. This went down pretty good. I love this matchup, actually. I paused a little bit because I was thinking about, there was one other women's match, and I was thinking one of the participants was involved in this one, but they weren't. No, this was a straight up one-on-one match. Shida taking on Timeless Toni Storm. New women's champion as Toni Storm has that title. I love that. I freaking love that. So Toni Storm made a little bit of history here that wasn't really hyped enough. That I want to make sure we're definitely showing her respected love and everything by picking up the win here and becoming the women's champion. Toni Storm now joins Shida as a 3-time women's champion. So pretty badass right there. Pretty badass. And Toni Storm got quite the celebration as the new champion and everything. I gotta tell you, I am loving this classic Toni Storm gimmick. It is one of the most surprising, well-crafted, well-developed wrestling personas. I can tell Tony Khan and crew, because I remember I had checked out the last press conference that Tony Khan had gave, and he was giving Toni Storm her props, and you could tell that he really, really likes the Toni Storm character, trying to figure out ways to incorporate her, what more material can they do for her and everything. And this is one of the brighter spots that AEW has been doing right these past couple of months now. I can remember being on this show off and on over the years when Toni Storm was in the WWE, and constantly I would say, somebody explain to me what the big deal is with Toni Storm. And this was way before her unfortunate leaks had came out and everything, iCloud hack and all that. I remember saying way before all that went down, okay, yes, she has nice looking face, she's got a nice looking body and everything, but what is it about the Toni Storm character that I'm not seeing it? And nobody ever defended Toni Storm whenever I would put that question out there. Nobody. I asked it a couple of times on social media, and nobody ever jumped out there and said, well, you see, here's what it is. I thought the wrestling was, I thought it was okay. Nothing memorable, but I thought it was okay. And I just like what's been happening with her during her journey in AEW. I still remember when she had first signed with AEW, and I remember how everybody was just so excited. And I remember being right here on this show going, well, yeah, man, I guess it's good for the women's division, but, again, it was like, okay, she's got a nice face, she's got a nice shape, but, really, can you think about at least 5 Toni Storm matches offhand in recent years where you go, hey, this was a 4-star or that was a 5-star? What is it about the Toni Storm character that, has you going, yeah, right? Again, wrestling isn't bad. The wrestling is good, but you're going, and I like how this timeless character has come about. And you can tell when somebody has their teeth really synced into something good, because you can see them put all their creative juices into it and everything. You can tell that they're having fun, and I can legit tell that Toni Storm is having a lot of fun with this new gimmick and everything. I'm really, really happy, and I gotta take it a step further. It was my first time seeing the overall presentation. I've been seeing the teases on AEW programming off and on the past several weeks, especially since I cover Rampage over on the website and everything. But Collision was my first time this past weekend, less than 24 hours ago, because we had Collision on a Friday night, a rare Friday night. It's my first time seeing, the complete picture here of the classic Toni Storm character, and I'm just going, Yeah, man, I can so get behind this. It's right up my alley, too, because I'm definitely a student of the game as far as wrestling from yesteryear goes and all that. You know, I love the Mildred Burks. Right, there's not a weekend that goes by I'm kicking back watching some old school black and white wrestling and everything, especially women's wrestling. So I love that retro stuff. So for her to do this nice little throwback, and then you want to incorporate it with the Joan Crawfords, right? You want to incorporate it with the Betty Davis, right? You want to go in those directions. Yeah, that's so freaking up my alley. The Elizabeth Taylor. Yeah, that is so up my alley. Let's freaking go there. So it's a nice thing that she's got going on here. I love it. And look, not for nothing, Toni Storm has had the steady white hand these past several weeks. So this was definitely the right way to go as far as I was concerned. This was definitely the right way to go. If you see me looking down, for those of you that's watching the stream, I'm just looking to see what's going on with the media scrum, just seeing if they're still on. And yeah, it looks like the scrum is still on. Hopefully they'll make it a little bit shorter there. I know that that's in California, so they're 3 hours behind, because we're here in the East Coast right now. We've got almost 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's 10 o'clock over there right now? Yeah, it's like 10 o'clock over there, or about to be 10 o'clock. So yeah, good stuff right there though. Next matchup, AEW World Tag Team Championship ladder match. Ricky Starks and Big Bill defending against Rush Dralistico, taking on FTR, taking on Malachi Black, Brody King, Pretty Ricky, Big Bill with the retain in this ladder match. 20 minutes and some change. Pretty Ricky climbing up the ladder, doing the damn thing, just not even sugarcoating it, not even trying to delay, just climb the ladder, snatch, and it's over. I don't know what it is, man, but when I think about ladder matches these days, when I feel like a really good ladder match, I'll turn on some vintage stuff from WWF or maybe from ECW and everything. You know, these days I hear ladder match and it's like, yeah, I tune out very easily. This was a fun match. Went a little bit too long for my personal taste. You had too many spots. I think if this could have been dialed back just a bit as far as the spots go, on top of everything else that I just mentioned, I probably would have enjoyed this even more. But I will not deny that there was some really good synergy between all these respected tag teams. There was definitely structure in this and everything. But I just feel that some of those things could have been dialed back when it's all said and done. But good effort from all the boys right here. AEW TBS Championship match. Chris Statlander defending against Julia Hart and Sky Blue. Triple threat match and everything. Julia Hart becoming the new TBS champion. 11 minutes 21 seconds she pinned Sky Blue. Sky Blue came out, took me off guard because I was expecting Homegirl to come out to her usual music, have the backwards hat and everything, and instead she came out with some black attire. There was barely some blue floating around in a few areas. I think she still had a little bit of blue mascara maybe around her eyes or whatever, but it was almost like we were watching Sky Blue pull a 180 on the character that we have been accustomed to seeing, you know, ever since she arrived in AEW and everything. You're going, are we sure this is Sky Blue, or did they mess the name up and this is somebody entirely different that we're seeing coming out here and everything? But it was sky blue. It was sky blue. I guess this was a continuation, when it's all said and done, it was a continuation of the dark manifestation that's happening within sky blue and everything, right? I mean, that's pretty much what you could say as far as how this had played out. I thought this was a solid effort by all three of these women. I personally felt that this match should have came on before the ladder match, because it just felt to me, and you guys can sound off that had watched the pay-per-view, you guys let me know, but it really came off as if the crowd was completely drained by the time these girls came out for this TBS championship match. I mean, you know, I won't say completely drained the fans were, but there was a lot taken out of them. So it just really made me wonder if the girls really should have came on after that ladder match, because like they don't see just about any and everything, right? And the kitchen sink thrown out there. There was a lot of crazy spots that was going down in that ladder match, and now you're gonna follow it up with just a nice traditional triple threat match for the title. Not quite sure about the placement for this one, but despite that, still a very solid effort by all the girls. Really had loved this match, and as I mentioned at the very top of the show to open things up, when I was mentioning Bucks taking on Omega and Jericho, about the whole Jericho Bucks, yeah, just take that match off the pay-per-view and everything. If I had to cut one match in favor of another to remain on the pay-per-view card, still I would have cut that Jericho match, that tag match, and definitely put this in there. Hell, I'm just thinking about it. Hell, man, I definitely would have given the girls the spot before the main event. I would have given them the Bucks, Omega, Jericho spot. I would have given the girls that spot instead. Yeah, for sure. Nice effort here from all of these girls. Very, very happy. I'm like over the moon and back in seeing Julia Hart and her hard work paying off. The girl's been getting better and better. She has been busting her butt these past several months, and the work has been showing itself. She has put a lot into not just her in-ring work, she has invested a lot into her character. It's been a great development that's been happening for her. So she has been able to catch lightning in a bottle, and she's been doing a good job riding it out so far. So I'm definitely happy for her. I know that there's a lot of Chris Statlander fans that's out there. Let me say this in regards to Chris Statlander. Make no mistake about it, Chris Statlander had some really great matches as the TBS champion. She definitely had some, interesting. Oh, that's nice. I finally pulled up the chat room, at least for YouTube, just to see what's going on, and I got this notification that says that there are new timeout lengths. You can now put people in timeout for different lengths, ranging from 10 seconds to 24 hours. Oh, God, why do we need 24 hours? We don't need anything that damn long, do we? I mean, seriously. Anyway, shout out to everybody that's tuning in live right now. But, look, in regards to Chris Statlander definitely, for the latter part of her title reign, had some very solid matches. But it was becoming pretty flat for her real quick, unfortunately. And I think a lot of the problems that you could make for Chris Statlander is just, there wasn't enough juicy story arcs for her to really be involved in, and when we did see Chris Statlander do some stuff in between title defenses, it came off very comedic, right? We were still kind of almost paying homage to the alien gimmick which was pretty weird in itself. And I'm glad that she got away from that and all that, right? I mean, it's one thing if you want to be a little bit quirky, but I just felt that it was being poured on too much. Some of the comedic antics that they were having Chris Statlander do and everything. You know, she had a nice run. She ran her respected course, I personally feel. And then look, not for nothing, but Chris Statlander, the way this match was laid out, she can essentially come from out of this match and story and say, well, look, that's all fine and dandy that Julia Hart is the new TBS champion, but she didn't pin me to officially become the TBS champion. She pinned Sky Blue. Right? So you still got a little bit of development going on there. And I also like the fact that this beef that's been going on between Sky Blue and Julia Hart, you know, that's definitely still unchecked. That's still unresolved. So there's a lot that you can run back coming from out of what went down tonight and everything. So good stuff right here. Good stuff right here. We already talked about Will Osprey at the very top and how that was a good grab. Let's talk about the Texas Death Match. Hangman Adam Page taking on Swerve Strickland. I love how Swerve Strickland had the dancers at the top of the ring. Nana leading the way, doing the dancing with the dancers. I love Prince Nana, man. Every time I love Prince Nana. Been checking out Prince Nana's work off and on for several years now, man. But this just, it just feels like he's finally really captured that lightning in the bottle as well, right? Much like with what Julia Hart, right? Prince Nana as well, and everything. I loved this match. Some hokey dokey stuff was involved in this match. I tell you what, man, we had some spots involving cinder blocks and all that, and I'm just going, man, these bricks, man, they're like freaking going over here, right? They're like the Hulkster. They're putting themselves over and everything. Once this match was over and done with, though, you're going, yeah, good luck following this up. Seriously, good luck following this up, because this was just balls to the walls, insanely. What did I watch here? What did I watch here? From Hangman Adam Page taking a staple gun to Swerve Strickland's face, and then whatever it was he stapled on him, I don't know, what was it, an empty bag of Sour Patch Kids or whatever, but then just ripping it off of Swerve's face, and Swerve just selling that big time, screaming and everything. Let me tell you something, this was a match, because they really went, I didn't know if I was watching an ECW or a GCW match. I mean, this was gory. This was not for the faint of heart. Seriously, this was, if you had a squeamish stomach, you did not like blood, you didn't like gore, you're not a fan of that, this was not the match for you. Right down to the point, it almost felt like by the time we got to this match and everything that was playing out in this match, it almost felt as though you were watching a fight from a completely different promotion. That's how this played out. That's how this played out. You're going, wait, are we sure this is AEW? We sure this is AEW programming that we're checking out here? Like, you know, one could make an argument that, you know, some of this could have been scaled back quite a bit, that there was a lot of unnecessary spots, gory, bloody spots in this that they did not need. They still could have reached the same results, but there's just some stuff that they didn't need, and as a result, they could have scaled back a bit and everything. But no, I'm totally fine with this, because the way that you were building up this story arc, and I do have one other complaint that I could make in regards to this. I like the fact that, and I'm gonna just 2 in 1 as far as both of those thoughts go and everything. I'm fine with the way that this had played out, because when it's all said and done, this was a fight. This was a fight. And you're following the respected story arc and everything, and you're going, yeah, man, Hangman, he's got a receipt that he needs to cash in on Swerve. Hangman needs justice for what Swerve did by trespassing into his home and messing with his kid and it, right? Like he needs to set what was once wrong. He needs to set that right? He's got to make amends there, okay? He's got some booty to whip, okay? Right? He's coming for that ass. Let's be real. He's coming for that ass, okay? So my one complaint besides some of the stuff as far as, hey, they could have scaled back on a couple of things here and there. But even at that, for me, I loved it. Yeah, because it felt like a nice throwback to yesteryear, okay? They didn't really need to do some of the wrestling moves. I mean, I think at this point, it's just, just balls to the walls. This is just a straight up fight. You don't need to be doing stuff off the top rope. You don't need to be doing no Boston Crabs. You don't need to it's a freaking fight. This is a slugfest. Just go all balls out. And I would not be surprised if we see these guys run it back again and it gets to a point where maybe we have a non-sanctioned match. Right? Non-sanctioned. Like whoever wins, like it doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do to your opponent, that doesn't matter. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe some stuff had went down, to that degree. But I love what these two guys had did. Swerve Strickland, I said this on social media too after I was done. By the way, Swerve Strickland picked up this win. A lot of people looked at this and they thought, you know what, Hangman is going to get this. Hangman is definitely going to get this. No, Swerve Strickland picked up the win. Had some help in the process, though. Prince Nana interfering a couple of times there. Brian Cage coming out towards the end, trying to help out Swerve and everything. And what was it? Remember, there was a barbed wire. Heyman did something. I don't know if he had took his fists and put it in barbed wire and went at Brian Cage that way, but I know Cage had hit him with a couple of power bombs, did a F5, pulled out the table and everything. Some nice good stuff that had went down. There was a dead eye through the table. Swerve with the cinder block, smashed it over Hangman's back. You're going, there's that damn cinder block. Surely that's it. That's got to be the end and everything. Swerve had a chain, wrapped it around Page's neck. I mean, he literally was playing a game of Hangman with that cage around Hangman's neck. He was playing a game of freaking Hangman. Seemed like Page was thinking about getting up, but he wasn't able to come to the 10 count. Swerve Strickland picking up the win. I love this. I love this. And I said this in regards to Swerve Strickland, so shout out if you're a Swerve Strickland fan and everything. But I had this to say because I truly, truly, really mean this. Swerve Strickland really put out quite the performance. A brutal, physical, and bloody match that really should be fight, because what I was watching was really a fight that lived up to the gimmick of a Texas death match. I'm expecting big things to happen for the man in 2024. Next, AEW World Champion, folks. Always bet on black. Shout out if you know your movies as well. I love Swerve. Swerve has been taking it to a whole nother level. Was already a fan of the man's work when he was in NXT. I loved what he was doing with Ashanti, B-Fab, Top Dollar. Love what he was doing with all of those guys. Sucks we'll never be able to see what the true vision was for that with Swerve, in the leader position and all of that. Might they have been running rampant as high up there as the Judgment Day? We'll never really know, unfortunately, but everything happens for a reason. And timing is everything. I love what's been happening with Swerve. This has been some of his best work since he's been involved in professional wrestling. And I expect nothing but great, fantastic things to happen for the man in 2024. If by the time we reach the fourth quarter of 2024 and the man is not a world champion, we all need to be collectively having a discussion going. What's going on here? What's going on here with our boy? Seriously, what's going on here? Let's see, what else? What do I say about the Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega versus the Bucks match? What do I say about that? Well, for starters, no surprise that Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega won. I mean, they just formed this tag team. You hear this silly stipulation, oh, if the Bucks win, Jericho and Omega can never team again. Like, you're going, come on, really? Really, dude? Really? Weakest match. This was the weakest match. This just felt like, well, we're the EVP, so we deserve to. I just, nothing for me worked in this. I did not enjoy this match one little bit. I've seen one Young Bucks match. I've seen them all. That's exactly how it was going down for me tonight. I actually excused myself, went into the studio and started preparing for the post show. Honestly, I watched probably the match went for about a little over 20 minutes. I probably watched about the first 10 minutes and I said, yeah, I'm good. When I walked out, went into the studio, start preparing. I didn't care for this one. I know earlier Deathless Dogs had mentioned how Bucks throwing a temper tantrum. Well, that's what we've been seeing for the past couple of weeks. You know, they are unraveling and everything. They're basically playing into a lot of the stereotypes that's being said about them on social media and everything. They have been notoriously known for amplifying, playing up to the negative things that is said about them on social media and basically using that to their advantage, right? So, yeah, you know, for those of you that didn't see it, you know, Nick Jackson, post-match, he was throwing a chair around at ringside. Aubrey Edwards was trying to calm him down, wasn't having it. Matt trying to do his best, but you know, it was like one of those, hey, the man wants to act out, right? And I mean, look, not for nothing, but when you follow the storyline, I mean, yeah, they probably would have a fit because they just lost their number one contender spot. Remember what was at stake here, right? Remember what was at stake here. Even though it was, oh, well, if Jericho and Kenny lose, they can never team again. Remember, there was a number one contender spot that was up for grabs here. Remember how this match had first came together. So now, safe to say, the next time we see Jericho and Omega out on Dynamite, they're going to be looking to throw their hats in the AEW World Tag Title picture and all that. So we shall see. We shall see. Main event match, AEW World Championship, Adam Cole defending on behalf of MJF against Jay White. Adam Cole coming out there, crutches and all. We're looking at this going, there's no way this is possibly going to happen. Jay White makes his entrance as well. And you're just thinking to yourself, bash at the beach. There's just no way, right? Bash at the beach. But wait a minute, we hear a siren from an ambulance. Turns out it's MJF driving himself back into the arena. MJF gets out, tells Adam Cole, no, man, I got this. So it turns out it's MJF, after all, that's going to be defending his championship against Switchblade Jay White. MJF did a decent amount of selling of the leg, but only up to a point, because we got to a scenario where I can't remember who said this, but they know who they are. It got to a point where there was this hilarious comment. MJF is selling his leg like Seth Rollins sells his back injury. And I just went, underdog, put that on a t-shirt. Because seriously, that's the point that we had got to. There were some spots in this where you're just going, man, there is no selling whatsoever. I remember one particular spot where MJF should have been selling the knee. I didn't see enough knee selling, by the way. Not just from MJF, but just the way the match was booked. Jay White should have been a freaking honey badger, Wolverine, whatever you want to call it, on that left knee, especially when that bad boy was exposed. I don't care whatever type of leg submission hold MJF is trying to apply. Man, clutch that fist, take it with your bare knuckles and just just box the hell out of that knee, slam down on it real hard. Dude, like, we should have been seeing all kinds of stuff from Jay White, but it just wasn't laid out the way I was anticipating it to be laid out. But I remember there was a spot where Jay White did this move. Okay, MJF's knee, okay, it's hurt. But then, insult to injury, does this move, MJF's head, okay? All right, so he's hurt MJF in two areas. And I remember when MJF landed, the first thing he does, it's not hold the head, it's not hold the knee. The very first thing he does is reaches around the back of his trunks, around his butt cheek area, and he readjusts his trunks. And I remember I had jumped out there and I said, really? You're going to take the time out to adjust your trunks? Come on, man. And somebody said, hey, don't want the junk to get loose there, man. Like, well, we're talking about the front here. Like, the front's fine. It's like, I'm talking about the back. He's worried about the back. Like, you're good. Yeah, just continue on with the freaking match there and everything. Like seriously. So we saw MJF just somehow defy these odds. You also had a spot where the referee gets distracted. Adam Cole tries taking the AEW world title. Jay White's like, no. That pretty much had backfire. I think the ref even got taken out too when Jay White did have the title, and he just took it upside the head. He just took it upside the head of MJF. You're thinking, okay, this is it then. This is how it's going to go down. Kick out. Match continues. You're going, so how exactly are we going to bring this home? Like, what the hell? A little bit later on during the match, we see Adam Cole bust out the Dynamite Diamond ring, tries to get that to MJF. No mas as Jay White intercepts it, picks it up. He's getting ready to slug the hell out of MJF with it and everything, but MJF comes in with the low blow, so Jay White doesn't get a chance to use it and everything. This was very interesting. We had biting and low blows and all kinds of stuff that was going on during this pay-per-view and everything. So good stuff right here. Then we saw the Guns run out. And once again, you're going, okay, this is a numbers game. What the hell is going on here? And remember, earlier in the night, the referee, Bryce Harper, he did eject the Guns from ringside because he saw them with a pair of steel chairs early on in the match. Caught them in time before they could use them, and he ejected them. But I think when all of this was playing out, I think the ref was out. I believe the ref was out, but we had MJF just fighting all of these guys. Just hilarious. Just freaking hilarious. Because Bryce wasn't even knocked out this go round when the Guns came out and all that. At this point, it should have been calling for the bell or whatever, but for whatever respected reason, no. Because the Guns come out there, and MJF is taking them all down. He's hitting them with the dynamite rings and everything. And somehow Bryce Harper doesn't see any of this that goes down. Now, I've got to watch the replay. I'm just trying to think if Bryce Harper even saw MJF hit Jay White with the dynamite ring, because I'm trying to think about how the finish had went down. But I definitely remember the ref counting the 1, 2, 3, because you would like to believe if in fact MJF did hit unintentionally, or whatever you want to call it, if he did hit Jay White with the ring, like, okay, that's a DQ, but the title can't change hands on the DQ, right? But still, just the fact that the Guns came back out there after the referee had already ejected them, like, at this point, you just throw the match out. Seriously, you just throw the match out. But anyway, it was what it was. MJF and Cole celebrating afterwards. We fade to black. No devil sightings whatsoever. you're looking at that going, what the hell? So when you look at this pay-per-view overall, off to a bit of a slow start. You know, it's kind of like warming up a Pop-Tart. Some people like eating certain Pop-Tarts fresh out of the box, but then you got those that, nah, man, the Pop-Tarts, they taste really good. The warmer that they get, obviously you don't want it burnt, but then again, some people might almost like a burnt Pop-Tart, whatever your cup of tea is, right? But it started off a little bit slow, but I would say things really started to pick up and go to a whole new other level when we got to the Hangman Page Swerve Strickland match. That was one of my favorite matches. A little bit I can just see some people turning away from it, but you know what? I loved it. Had a couple of funny little spots in there, especially with the cinder blocks and all that, but I mean, they literally were trying to murder each other. I thought that for the amount of weeks that was spent with this respected rivalry, to build it up to this point that they did, I thought they did a really good job. Very, very good, very entertaining. I would say that was my most favorite match. Least favorite match, based on what I saw, Bucks, Jericho, Omega for sure. I know I probably alienated a few folks in saying that, but you know what? It is what it is. I'm not gonna say sorry, not sorry. Average pay-per-view though, I would personally say it gets a thumbs up from me, but I would say it's an average pay-per-view. I would probably give this, I'm looking at the card just overall, I would probably give this pay-per-view a scale of 1 to 10. I would give it a respected maybe a 6.5 out of 10. So I'm looking at about a C plus. A C plus when it's all said and done. I almost want to give a B minus, but I'm gonna stay. See, is it worthy of a B minus? I'm just looking at the matches one more time. The MJF Jay White, that was just what really hurt that match the most, was just the way things were pretty much foreshadowed earlier in the night, I personally feel. Yeah. So I'm thinking about that. Swerve Strickland, Hangman, that was damn good. Julia Hart, Statlander, Sky Blue, that was great. Tony Storm, Sheeta, that was pretty good as well. Yeah, I'm gonna go C plus. I can't go higher. I can't go any lower. C plus, 6.5. Yeah, 6.5 out of 10. I'm going with a C plus rating. Let's see what you guys had to say via X. See what you guys had to say as far as the polling goes here. Remember, if you haven't voted yet, you can go, if you got X, formerly known as Twitter, just go hop over there, or you can vote on youtube.com/the RCWR show. Click on communities tab. Going to X, I am seeing as follows. We gave you 3 picks. Staying in the middle, thumbs down, thumbs up. Got a tie at 15% for thumbs down and staying in the middle. Meanwhile, top dog right now, 68% of you are giving AEW Full Gear a thumbs up. Appreciate you guys that have voted via X. All right, let's see what's going on with the YouTube poll right now. Very, very early. We'll see what happens when it picks up a little bit later, but I'm seeing a tie. 50% for thumbs up and staying in the middle. So you guys have heard the results. If you got X, go vote over there. If you got both, honestly, you just heard what you heard. So go with the poll that you feel best represents where you stand as far as letting your thoughts be heard on the pay-per-view. I want to just read some of these comments while I'm still on the air. So this is you all's time now. If you guys want to get in some last-minute comments about what you thought about the pay-per-view, go ahead and jump in there right now. Let's see. Oh, shout out to Dogs. He said he dropped the link over on the Discord. Much love, homie. Much love. He thinks that TK leaked that it was Osprey so people wouldn't boo when it wasn't Sasha or Ronda. Well, let's talk about that. If TK in fact did do that, my question would be, damn, dude, as far as the validation goes, it really bothers you like that, you know, that you dare not face any type of backlash, any type of criticism for the fact that it's not Mercedes Moné, or that it's not Ronda, or that it's not insert. I would say be proud. This is a big deal for AEW, right? You got Will frickin' Osprey. You've got one of the best technical wrestlers in the world working for your promotion on a full-time basis. There is nothing to feel embarrassed or I'm scared about backlash, or there's nothing to feel bad about. Frickin', it's Will Osprey. Anybody else that's not really feeling that, you know, you can tell them to go suck on a lemon, as far as I'm concerned. So, you know, that would be my advice for TK. It's like, dude, it's your company. You frickin' own this, okay? So whoever you sign, if you feel that they are a big deal, then it shouldn't matter what the, you know, well, to a degree, it matters what the fans think. But you're the one that's signing these talents. So if you feel that, this person would do... I got to be honest. My expectations, I did not expect Will Osprey. Even after the reports had came in about Will Osprey, I still did not think AEW was going to sign Will Osprey. Not because of the WWE stuff that was running around. I was just under the impression that it wasn't going to be Will Osprey. I felt, it's going to be Dolph Ziggler, and I'm thinking about the California connection as well. Dolph trying to be that next Hollywood star and all that. I was picturing him. Mercedes Moné was nowhere on my mind. I know at one point I saw that Goldberg was trending on X, and I'm going, did Bret Hart say something? Like, what the hell? And I'm trying to look while watching the pay-per-view, and I couldn't find anything, but I'm going, well, why is this man trending? And so at one point I'm going, I hope this evil isn't wished upon us. As far as, you know, Bill Goldberg is the one that signs with AEW, like, no. So I just found that to be very, very interesting, but there's nothing... Why would he leak that would be my question. If he did leak it, why would he leak that? Seriously. Because he feared that people would boo if it wasn't Sasha. I don't think anybody would have booed. I don't think that whatsoever. And you heard the great reaction that Will Osprey had got, but now the question becomes, was that somehow leaked beforehand? We'll know in a couple of days. See what else we got here. Let me know what you guys had thought about the pay-per-view that's popping in here. Joe Doe says, not gonna lie, didn't even know who Osprey was. I know there's a decent amount of people that are still sleeping on the name Will Osprey. Let me tell you something. As somebody that occasionally would pop their head, see what's going on with New Japan Pro Wrestling and all that other stuff, I would say, look, Joe, I'll match what you just said with something that had went down a couple of years ago. Okay. I remember the Chris Jericho cruise. I went on the Triple Whammy cruise a couple of years ago with the wifey, and I had an opportunity for a meet and greet, and there were two that were happening at the same time. So obviously, you got to choose, right? Obviously, you can't split yourself and be at both places at the same time. So on the one hand, we had Jazz. Y'all know Jazz, all her contributions to women's wrestling and all that, right? So on the one hand, you got Jazz. On the other, you had Will Osprey. Now, up to that point, I seen a couple of Will Osprey matches, but not enough to go, oh yeah, man, I gotta go see Will Osprey, yo. It's freaking Will Osprey, man. No, I'm like, I'm gonna go see Jazz, and I don't regret that whatsoever. One little bit, I don't regret that whatsoever. Okay, and I remember afterwards, I had bumped heads in a good way with somebody that was on the cruise, and I had it was a female that me and my wife kept bumping into, and we were like exchanging pleasantries and, hey, how was this? How was that? And I asked her, I said, hey, did you do the Will Osprey signing or did you go do Jazz? And she goes, oh no, I did Will Osprey. And I asked her, I said, okay, I said, so how was Will Osprey? Because for my Jazz meet and greet, that was like, my God, you had probably about, I would say, 75 to maybe 100 people in line for Jazz on the cruise. And she said, oh no, Will Osprey, he had a much bigger line. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah. She's like, there must have been at least 250, 300 deep for Will Osprey. And this was a couple of years ago. So I'm going, oh, okay. I'm hearing that. I'm going, I need to keep tabs on this dude, because obviously if he's got more of a following like that than Jazz, right, this man must be doing something right. And I just remember how after I was done with that cruise, I was going on YouTube and I was looking up as many Will Osprey matches that I could find, and then I'm going, holy shit, this guy is good. This guy is good. And the first thing that came out of my mouth, man, imagine if this man was doing some stuff over for a American promotion where he could be seen on television on a weekly basis. Like, this man needs to be a household name. Those were my thoughts a couple of years ago. So to now see where we are now with Will Osprey, and the fact that he's now in AEW, and that even more people are going to be able to access him on a weekly basis, I think it's a good thing. So to Joe's point, and anybody else I don't even know who this Will Osprey guy is, why I should be invested in him, start doing your research now. You ain't got to buy no New Japan World subscription. Just go on YouTube or Daily Motion when you get a free moment, look up the guy's matches, and I promise you, I'm not overselling the guy. I promise you, by the time you get done checking out what this dude is capable of, you're going to be like, okay, all right, yeah, I'm buying it. All right, so let's see what happens when he arrives on a full-time basis. See what else you guys are saying here. Now, hit my Pete. He's saying Osprey should have signed with WWE. He feels that he would have been the new Mr. NXT, maybe a Tyler Bate. Oh, wait. Pete is bringing up Tyler Bate. Now, I wonder, when you bring up Tyler Bate, are you bringing up Tyler Bate from what I was saying earlier about UK guys? Because if so, I see what you're saying right there. But as far as being the new Mr. NXT, Will Osprey, I could see that. Look, make no mistake about it. You could take anybody from AEW and be like, you know what, put them in the NXT system. Yes, there's no mistake about it. They would thrive in the NXT system. Because you know why? Because the NXT fans at the core, they are much like the AEW fans as far as, we know our wrestlers. We know where a lot of these guys, we know about some of the promotions that they've been doing. We know about some of their work from the indies, and it's much more intimate also from the standpoint NXT. They're not going out there on a weekly basis. See NXT in New York. Next week we'll be in Chicago. After that we'll be in Philadelphia. Then we'll be in Jersey, right? And then we'll be in Texas. No, they're at the same freaking spot every single week, right? So you can only get so much of a gauge. But man, take that same talent and put them up on the main flagship show, or between Raw and SmackDown, and let's see what really happens with the mainstream audience. It's like Chase U. I love Chase U, but my whole thing is, man, is that really going to click with the main roster? If you were to do something where you have them appear on the main roster for a one shot, just to gauge the fans, would it really go over? Would it really go over? I tell you what, we're going to find out soon. And I think one of the best ways you try to figure something out like that, like in the case of Chase U, see what happens when March Madness comes around. That's the thing that has America always in a buzz. If you can do some type of a brilliant segment during March Madness on Raw or SmackDown involving Chase U, that's going to tell you all you need to know right there as far as, okay, this one-off appearance warrants doing another appearance. Now, throwing that back to, say, Will Osprey. Will Osprey really thrive on the main roster? I don't know. I have reservations. And I think it's okay to have reservations based on, what we've seen. Deathless Dog. Well, Drew has been more successful lately. Yeah. Rockstar Spud. Oh, hell yeah. Rockstar Spud. I totally blanked on those guys. And Drew just turned heel. Drew should be the measuring stick, right? I think that's kind of fair. If you're somewhere between, Drew McIntyre, right? What would the low point be? Would the low point starting point be maybe a Rockstar Spud? And then the end point, like your meter is full, Drew McIntyre? I guess that's a good range, right? Or would it be more so? No, Rockstar Spud would maybe kind of be almost at the middle. Drew McIntyre is at the F for full. I don't know what you put for zero, but I guess if you're between Spud and Drew, that's good. It feels like Will Ospreay would maybe be between Spud and Drew if he was on the main roster, but I still, as long as Vince McMahon is somehow attached, I'm still just picturing that guy phoning something in, telling you, Paul. I got this weird feeling, man. Let's keep rocking and rolling. Yeah, Okada would be scary in the WWE. That would be, you got to do that man right. Seriously, I'm not trying to see no comedic gimmick. If there's anybody I'm looking at going, this man has got to succeed under the system, Okada is definitely someone I'm looking at going. And I already know the NXT system, he would flourish in that. Not everything is bad as far as NXT. You can definitely look, we've got this great talent over here, right? It's almost kind of like, sometimes the way that I look at NXT, I almost look at NXT like Disney Plus. Okay, so before you go see that next big blockbuster movie, make sure you're watching Disney Plus, because this little show right here is going to help you better understand what's going on with this movie coming out, right? It almost kind of feels like that sometimes with the right casting of characters that you got down there and NXT and all of that. I tell you this much, I would pay some money to see Shinsuke Nakamura and Okada as a tag team. Ooh, that would be badass. That would be freaking badass. Let's see. Let me take one more stab at what's going on with the voting polls here. Hang on here. See what's going on here. Oh, Dan goes to the mayor. Dan, shout out to you, man. He has shared the link for the post show. Appreciate you, bud. Let's see here. Any news while we're still on the air? Any news as far as the scrum? Anything noteworthy from the scrum that we need to cover while we're still on the air? Let me know. And yeah, this was fun doing the post show. We almost went about 90 minutes, which is pretty good. Apparently, oh no, that's an old GIF. I'm seeing a GIF of Jay White collapsing on the floor. Yeah, I bet he did have a long freaking day. Oh, God, that's freaking funny. That's freaking funny. I love that. Let me just see what's going on here. Anything else? Hang on. I'm looking in the Discord here. Yeah, we got a good group in the Discord, man. It's like, it's all fun and laughs. It's nothing but love. Let's see here. I'm just saying, though, I like how sometimes when I give a female a compliment, I get like this serious backlash, like, and I'm just seeing how some of the other people have commented, and I'm going, wait a minute, I need that same energy that was given to me. I need that same energy given to these other people over here, especially because they're being more crude and nastier than what I'm saying. Like, my stuff is rated PG. What I say, it's like, ooh. My word of advice to you guys when you are in the Discord: you never know who's going to be reading what you're saying, and unless you want to get scorned verbally, watch what you are saying. Watch that language in there. It's weird. I've seen more and more females in the Discord that are interacting while certain shows are on, and it's kind of one of those. I mean, I feel where a lot of folks are coming from. You should be able to talk freely and all that, but you know how it is, guys. Like, you should know this by now. It's one thing if you're amongst guys and it's just, but when you have a female that's in the mix, you want to definitely, this by now. I shouldn't even have to say the rest. You guys know this by now. You know this by now. Let's see one last time. Oh, something that we can do, because I'm curious what's going on with those that have seen the pay-per-view. I'm going to read some reviews. Hang on. Let me load this up, because I want to see what some of the... Oh, wow. I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Just an early snapshot right now. Cage match, Wrestling Database. So far, Full Gear is sitting at a 6.24 based on 16 votes. Looks like there's 15 comments that's out there. So let's look at the ratings. So off the break, I'm seeing a 6. I'm seeing a couple of 6s. I'm seeing a 5. I'm seeing a 3. I see a 8. I see a 7. I see a 4. One person actually gave it a 9. A lot of 6s. A couple of more 3s. So y'all tell me what you think about this. This comes from Nothing Left Inside, who says, pretty disappointing. The theme is matches that on paper should be good, being ruined by whatever gimmick angle has been added. Toni Storm versus Shida should be a bigger bang, right? Wrong. It's a silly entertainment match with zero wrestling in it. I don't know about all that. I mean, the Toni Storm character is full of theatrics, antics. I know when you go back to a match that she had, I don't know if it was on Collision last night or if it was Rampage, but I remember there was a match against Emi Sakura, and Luther had handed Toni Storm her script, and Toni Storm just flipped through it real quick, and then she tried to give that script to Emi Sakura, I guess to let her know like which line was hers, what parts were hers, and Emi Sakura grabbed that script, tore it up, went right to smacking the hell out of Toni Storm. No, I think that's a little bit too harsh right there. Swerve versus Adam Page should be a work rate classic. Wrong. It's a blood, I don't know what that word is, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, with a stapler and broken glass. I don't know about that. MJF versus Jay White, overbooked nonsense with a useless injury angle that just makes Jay White look weak. That is something that I did touch upon, which is another reason why I wasn't really a fan of the Jay White MJF match. I mentioned it in the Discord, and I'm glad reading this comment triggered the thought, which is, where does Jay White go from here? Right? I know some of you guys said Rampage, but no, seriously, where does Jay White go from here? Because you've spent week after week after week after week after week of beating the crap out of MJF, holding that championship hostage. You beat this man down silly during the 0 hour. You injured his leg so bad that his status for the main event was in jeopardy. All at the end of the day to get single-handedly beat by this guy. Like, it just made Jay White look like an overall chump. It really did. It made him look like an overall chump. To the point, Nothing Left Inside says Jay White looked weak. I can't believe I spent $50 on this. I can't believe you spent $50 on that too, my dog. Seriously, I can't believe you spent $50 on that. Wow. No, this was not a $50 pay-per-view, my friend. No, and I'll let anybody else know that. This was not a $50 pay-per-view. This really should have been especially since they're going to be coming back next month, maybe 3 weeks or whatever. Yeah, this was not a $50 pay-per-view. This was more like a $29.99 pay-per-view. That was a 3-point rating. Let me read to you a 7 rating. Overall, good pay-per-view. But the main event incredibly hurt this show and the entire angle. I'll buy that. I didn't like it one bit. And it made Jay White look like a complete geek. You are telling no lies so far. Swerve and Heyman was out of this world. Absolutely fantastic. The TBS title blew all expectations out of the water. A great fun cluster ladder match. Overall, still a great show, but man, just a complete letdown. Overbooked to the 9th degree. Main event, and I don't understand why you wouldn't just do a regular traditional match with some bull. If you need, you can do a bull, but this was bad. Yeah, the Toni Storm finish was a disaster, but the match was fine. Yeah, what was up with that spot at the end? I guess she had, a steel plate on her butt cheek or something. I'm trying to understand, because there's some foreign object that she used. I know she, okay, so for those of you that's not really familiar with this new variation of Toni Storm, usually she throws her hands up in the air, almost kind of like when Beth Phoenix used to hit the ropes for her entrance and she'd throw her hands up almost kind of like a phoenix. Toni Storm, when she's ready to do her finisher, she usually, pokes her chest out, is kind of, almost hitting that iconic, pose or whatever, and she throws her hands up is basically to let you know she's ready for her close-up. And as soon as it happens, everything just turns into black and white for the viewers at home, and then she does the hip attack, and that's pretty much it. But something weird had went down in there where I don't know if she was having some type of wardrobe malfunction or what, but she went with an audible there. It's kind of weird. Parkaway Driver gave it a 3 out of 10. That is a 3 that I'm reading. Says, I have had a lot of criticisms of AEW this year, many of which have been mainly within the television. If nothing else up to this point, 2023 has arguably been the best overall year for delivering on pay-per-view, with Double or Nothing being the only one I'd call okay, not counting ROH pay-per-views, of which both I felt were really fine at best. Well, this one did not keep their streak alive. The undercard has some solid stuff, like the opener, but I really didn't care for the stretch from OC Moxley through the ladder match. The TBS title match ended up exceeding my expectations and ended up being my second favorite of the night. Texas Deathmatch stole the show and elevated both talents. Bucks, Omega, and Jericho fell overlong and middling, and the main event fell overbooked at the expense of Jay White. Worst AEW pay-per-view in a long time. Ooh-wee. All right, so that was a 3. Let me read you a higher number just to balance this out, right? Aki Ma Outlaw 10 gave it a 9 out of 10. He says, excellent show. Swerve and Hangman continues the run of AEW, having at least one match of the year contender per pay-per-view. It might be their second weakest pay-per-view of the year after Double or Nothing. But that's a testament to the quality of the others, not the brilliance of the show. Tony and Shida had a very fun match. The latter match was excellent carnage. OC and Moxley resumed their rivalry in brilliant fashion. The three-way was well worked and had a shocking and deserved winner, and the main event was bold, tense, and captivating. I loved the show. Well, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I'll let you guys marinate on that one. I mean, I wouldn't say everything was excellent and bouquet of flowers and all that, but you know. DA gave it a 5 out of 10, saying this was the most creatively unconscious Full Gear of all. Big Bill and Starks holding over FTR, LFI, and HOB is crazy. Shida being a transitional champion for the second time is disgusting. The CC and Eddie Kingston thing just ruined the potential of the tournament. Mox's feud with Orange Cassidy simply stalled the championship, and I really don't care about that one bit. The Elite's breakup story itself, but the most unfortunate thing was the MJF angle. I think the booking of the main event affected Jay White a lot, and I don't know if he can recover from that. Kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. The good thing about this pay-per-view was Hangman versus Swerve and the well-deserved coronation of Julia Hart. So, first Julia Hart mention in there as well. I'll read 2 more, and that'll be it. I see a 8 out of 10 from PC Carter O. This is going to be a pay-per-view that people over-hate. I can already tell. I think the card was fantastic, and there were 3 standouts on this show: Julia Hart, Swerve Strickland, and Will Osprey. The announcement of Osprey got the largest pop of the night by far, and Swerve is ready to be the face of the company. If Hangman Page is the babyface of AEW, Swerve is the top heel of AEW. I know they're trying hard to reposition Hangman Adam Page. We'll see how that goes. I don't feel these two are done just yet. I really feel as though they're going to run this back, but we'll see. The dude, Swerve, he's talking about is on another level right now. Worst part of this show was the MJF stuff and the WWE-esque storyline that they did. I did not find it good at all. It did drag the show down slightly, but this is not one of the worst shows in AEW history, like some people will say that it is. And I'll read to you guys one more. Chris, 777. Hangman Swerve, he gave it a 6 out of 10, by the way. Hangman Swerve was the saving grace of this show. A lot of love for Swerve Strickland and Hangman there. Most matches were middling at best, yeah. The crowd wasn't fired up either, here and there. While the women's division actually does move some storylines forward, most stories didn't get progress, and there is little significance carried by the show. Yeah, I like what he's saying so far. No lies there. The main event, on the other hand, is what really dragged this show down. A very predictable and humiliating outcome after such a lengthy build is what really leaves me so much to desire on a Saturday night. Certainly not a good night for a Jay White fan. Again, it goes back to what I was talking about earlier about Jay White. Where does Jay White go from here? You know, it's unfortunate the way, in one night you essentially make this guy look like a freaking chump. I mean, maybe that's why in retrospect I said what I said about Samoa Joe and everything, putting him in that position and all that. And if you still wanted to have Adam Cole be out there, maybe you could have done a little something, but really needed? No, not needed whatsoever. So yeah, definitely some glaring issues on this card that you are you can't help but sweep that under the rug. Like there's like you think you can sweep it under the rug and you'll be done with. No, you can try to help yourself sweeping it under the rug, but it's already out there in the open for everybody to see, so you might as well just embrace it, own it, and try to learn from it and do freaking better. Seriously. So I think, you know what, we're all on the right, what is the brain wave pattern, whatever you want to call it. I said a 6.5, like a C plus, and to see that right now the overall rating here is a 6.5. Yeah, I mean, you can't really, anybody that comes on saying 10, it was perfect, look at them cockeyed and make sure you don't go over their house for the Thanksgiving holiday. Let's stick a fork in it. Call this DONE done. You guys enjoyed yourselves. You know what to do. Definitely support the podcast. Available on multiple platforms. Just search the RCWR Show. Give me a follow. Say hello on X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook at the RCWR Show. And hopefully I should be able to do a show on Monday because my coursework is getting smaller and smaller as I'm getting ready to go into the Thanksgiving holiday week. So I definitely, unless otherwise, and I'll put a blast out on social media, I should definitely be with you guys Monday night after Raw goes off the air. We'll do a post show. A lot of stuff has gone down since last I was on the air with you guys. Been off the air besides tonight. I've been off the air for almost a whole, 10 days, a week and week plus or something like that. So there's some stuff that we can definitely get into. By the way, shout out to Dana Carvey, one of my favorite comedians. His son had passed away, accidental drug overdose. We'll talk more about it on the Monday show, but just hearing that, I hate when people pass. I do, especially so unexpectedly and so young. But then on top of that, so close to the holidays. And this fourth quarter, like, boom, boom, boom. It's like one major holiday after another. Just to hear that, it just broke my heart. So I'm definitely, if you haven't already, definitely reach out to the man on social media. He's been reading all the comments, him and his wife. They've been reading all the nice, good, warm thoughts, condolences that's been coming their way, and keep them in your thoughts and prayers and all that. Yeah, keep them in your thoughts and prayers. But yeah, I'll definitely be with you guys Monday night. We'll have a nice, well-rounded, fun show as we get ready for the Thanksgiving holiday week, Festivus, and all that other good stuff. And until next go round, I'm wishing all of you all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. See you guys next go round. Take care, y'all. Peace.